What if it's not about a building? What if it's not about stained glass or steeples? What if it's about just Jesus?
Today we're starting Matthew 7, do not judge others. But Cory, I'm going to ask you to start this thing off by judging me.
You should never ask me that.
Yeah, no, I've got a story. We just moved into a new house and we've lived there about 4 weeks. And when we first moved in, there was some auto burglaries or something happened and everybody got freaked out. So everybody started turning all their lights on. So every night I go through and I turn my back light on, my front lights on, my front porch lights on. Every light that's exterior, I turn on.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And yeah, and it seems bad. It seems good, right? Like brighten it up.
Yeah.
The way you deter thieves and criminal activity is by lights. Nobody wants to be in the light.
You know, Jesus does that.
Well, you're right?
Yeah.
You knock out the blackness with the light.
Yeah. They don't like
good.
the light because it exposes their evil deeds.
Man, you got it.
Yeah.
So this is about 4 weeks now. I've turned every light on in my exterior. Today, my neighbor comes over and wants to talk for a minute. Super nice guy. And he said, hey, I'm sure you're not aware of it, but
He don't know you.
he said, I'm sure you're not aware of it, but your exterior light shines right in my bedroom window. And you know, sometimes we want to be Jesus-like and we try to do better every day. But some things we lose control of before we know what happened.
We do.
Yeah. And he said, hey, I'm sure you don't know this, but it's shining right in my bedroom window. My first reaction is like, man, that sucks for you. You know, I can't help it.
I just want everybody to know I just cringed.
Yeah, Cory and I were just like, oh gosh, no, we know where this is going.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think anything about it. And he shows me a picture. He says, yeah, this is from inside my room. And it's like bright. And he's got blinds
Like
up.
Jesus walked in.
I didn't know he had a picture.
Yeah. So it's pitch black in his room. And that window through his blinds is like daylight.
Oh.
Oh, that's terrible.
And you know, my first initial reaction is like, man, I don't really want to turn my light off.
This is not so much like Jesus.
Right. No, this is
Yeah.
not at all. This is where I'm asking you to judge me because I realize I made really bad decisions here to be a good neighbor because somewhere in the Bible, I know it says be a good neighbor.
That's right. Love thy neighbor.
Yes. And I failed at this. So long story short, I ended up telling him like, look, I'm not going to make you any promises. But my light's probably going to stay on, but I will look at some point and trying to adjust it to where it's not shining right in your window. And to be fair, I didn't adjust it towards your window. That's the way I bought the house.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but
You did tell him you were going to look into adjusting it.
yeah, but I also told him it wouldn't be today or anytime real soon.
Oh my gosh.
Well, let's just get all that out on the table.
No promises.
So my other method was thinking, well, look, if I'm a bad neighbor from start, I can only get better.
I can see this process going through your head as you're doing it. I'm not doing this. I don't know you.
How does he think like that?
But you don't want to be a pushover. Like every time someone comes to you, you don't want to be like, yes, what else do you need? Let me help you.
No, you definitely don't want to be a servant to anybody.
Right. And I feel like that's being very facetious. But
Oh man.
this is not what we came here to talk about. But this literally just happened.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I left there thinking, man, that went pretty good. So I called my wife. I was telling her about it. She said, oh, we're just going to turn the light off.
Absolutely.
And that's what I was like, well, I mean, if you want to, I guess we can. But I just thought we'd keep it on. It's not our fault it shines in his window.
It's just funny because as soon as she hears it, she's like, oh, we're
my
turning
God.
it off.
Oh, she's a good neighbor.
You are supposed to be a good neighbor.
Well, I know. And that just goes to show that even Savannah, I was here. I mean, we were setting up to do the Just Jesus podcast when I went over to meet this guy.
Yeah.
So I had Jesus on my mind. It's just when I got in the moment, I lost track of Jesus because my own ego, my own pride got in the way of like, man, this guy can't push me around.
Is that the thought process, though? It's not that you didn't want to do it to be a good guy. you didn't want to do it because you didn't want to feel like you were being forced to do it.
Which means the good guy ran away immediately because he obviously all of a sudden just said, well, I can't just cave.
Right. Exactly.
No, I got to be like, I can't just, be a pushover and let the guy think he's going to take advantage of me every time. Although he wasn't, it would have been one thing if he would have said, hey, man, you're going to have to turn that light off, or just demanded something.
And I think it was more of I just felt like I needed to think it through. And if I did it on the spot, I would have felt like he just pressured me into doing it. Like he said, he was super nice. He says, hey, I'm sure you're not aware, but this happened. And I said, oh, man, that sucks for you. I don't know what to tell you. But like those things just come out without thinking. But like, what would be the Christian thing to do in that moment?
Apologize. I am so sorry. I had no idea. Let me see what I can do to help you out there.
Yeah, I'll definitely take care of that. It's ASAP. Like, just, it's the fact that, that is how, and I do love the fact that, you do have a particular way about you that makes you you. And I do really appreciate it because a lot of times people do get run over, but you are not one of those people. But there are times as well that somebody would come at you very humbly, and that is the time that you meet them with humility. And the Bible says, if you show mercy, you will also obtain mercy.
That's not showing weakness.
No.
Now, let me back up and punt. So part of the auto burglaries, people were also going on back porches and stealing propane bottles.
Oh.
So my floodlight was actually a deterrent. It had a purpose. It wasn't just, let me just bother my neighbor,
actually, And I get that. And I know you're aware of that and you want that to be safe around your house. But the point is that you could have immediately said, okay, I can serve both purposes and I can change the direction of this light. And it may be hard for me. It may be difficult, but that's what we do to show people the light of Jesus. Like, go out of your way and really be kind, so kind, like we talk about that. Whoa, that guy was so nice. He was so kind and he was so accommodating. And so, yeah, I get it. That the burglars and all that, but change the direction of the light, get it out of his room and be a kind neighbor.
And I'm not saying either one of you guys are wrong. And once I left there, I called Terry, my wife, and I ended up sending the guy a message. I said, hey, look, we talked this over. We're definitely going to be turning the light off.
We didn't talk it over. Terry laid the smack down. We're turning the light off.
We want to be good neighbors.
How did that happen, though? How did it just happen that you think of all that and you say all that and you run all that through your mind and then you talk to Terry and in 5 seconds, she's like, we're turning it off. And you're like, oh, okay.
Well, let me ask you this. When someone comes to you and says, hey, Cory, can you do me a favor? How do you respond to that?
What is it?
Exactly. You don't just say, sure, yeah, I'll do it. What is it? Tell me now, I'll do it.
That's different than saying no and I won't, and that sucks for you, man.
But actually, Cory, honestly, I think, Cory, when someone says, hey, will you do me a favor? Absolutely. What do you need?
Yeah,
That's your
I probably
response.
would do that.
Yeah, I always say, it depends. What is it?
But I mean, there are some crazy people too that,
of course,
that would come up to you, and I get it. The demeanor, everything, the way they look, the way they talk. It might be that I would say, well, I'm sure I can, but what is it? Something like that. If it's somebody really kind, I probably would say, absolutely. What do you need?
And there's limits on all this stuff. Like, Savannah, if somebody came to you and said, hey, when you let your dogs outside, they bark. I'd really rather you not let your dogs out after dark because they kind of bark and disturb my TV watching. Like, where are you a good neighbor at?
Well, I feel like your TV watching is not that important as sleep.
Well, did they say it nice or did they say it just like that?
Well, I mean, it wasn't that nice.
No. But you know what? Does it really matter?
That's it. So
when you're really this is
I would be accommodating. I would say, I apologize. I'll try to make sure when I let them out that they're quiet.
Yeah, it's not about coming across like you're caving or you're weak or they're going to start ruling your life, this guy, because he asked you to turn the light off. And it isn't ever going to be that way. You can never go wrong. You can never go wrong by being humble and being kind and trying to meet somebody where they are to say, especially if they're kind, especially, but even if they're not, it's the Bible. Jesus said, we've said it before. Jesus said, if a man asks you to walk 2 miles or walk a mile, you would walk 2. And if they ask you to borrow something, you would let them borrow, expecting nothing in return. I mean,
but I feel like there's a time to process this. Like, hey, can you turn your light off? Well, and I don't know. That sucks for you that it's doing that, but no, I don't know. Let me figure out exactly how that's going to affect me before I accommodate you.
But
I can see that too.
No, I can't, because the thing is, you can change the direction of the light.
Yeah.
Like, you could still have the light doing everything it needs to do as far as burglary, but it won't be in his. I know that right immediately when he says, your light's shining in my room. Well, first of all, that means it ain't even doing what it needs to be doing. It needs to be shining out in your yard or something.
Now, granted, the houses are 100 feet apart.
Exactly.
So if it's pointing even on my property,
are they even that far apart?
They're 100 feet exactly. So it wouldn't take much to do that. And, I kind of joked with him. I was like, man, at least it ain't flickering.
Yeah.
No, you said that for real. I thought you were just telling us that.
No, I literally said that.
Even after not saying, "Oh yeah, man, I'll change it. I'll turn the direction. Whatever. This sucks for you." That's what you said, and then you said, "Well, at least it's not flickering." That's bad.
Well, man, it's such a fine line, and he was a super nice guy, and I even recommended. I was like, man, have you looked at some blackout curtains? I mean, at what point is it your responsibility or my responsibility? Was kind of the way I looked at it. And that might be wrong, and that's where I'm asking on this podcast.
You do have a very unique way about you in not like immediately giving in to somebody, and that's very different. But like I said, it's very good too. I probably could use a little more of that.
You're an asset to us in certain positions that way.
Yeah, but in most cases, if somebody asks you to do something and it's in your power, and it would be one thing if he was asking you to turn the light off. He's not asking you to turn the light off. He was asking you to take it out of his bedroom. And that's pretty simple.
But to back up and point, I didn't point it at his bedroom. I bought the house with it pointed there. I didn't know.
But you bought the house. And it's yours now.
It is.
And it's your responsibility.
Have you seen that movie, Yes Man?
I've not seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's, who's the guy, the Ace Ventura guy?
Jim Carrey.
It was Jim Carrey. It was Jim Carrey's in a movie.
Yeah.
He goes to a yes convention where they tell him, no matter what the question is, the answer is yes. It will change your life. So all these bums and all these people, they wait outside this convention and they start asking everybody, hey, man, can I have a ride? Yes.
Yeah.
Can I borrow your phone? Yes. Can I have $10? Yes. And they just keep hitting them. So they find this thing and they just keep going after him. So at what point do people take advantage of us because we are Christians, because they know, almost use the Bible against us, use Jesus against us?
Let me ask you this with a question too. Do you really need to ask this question? Do you really, really feel like that what you did and the way you said it and everything that happened, do you think that you handled it right?
Yes. And yes and no. Maybe instead of being somewhat facetiously joking about it, I could have just been like, man, I didn't realize that. Let me look into it and I'll get back with you. But at the end of the day, I kind of looked at it as like, man, this is my light. It's on my property and I'm trying to protect my stuff. I hate that it's affecting you, but I'm not doing it facetiously. I'm not purposely affecting you.
That kills me. It kills me that it's not simple enough to say my light can still My light on my house can still do that, just not shining into his bedroom.
But I don't know, even if you adjusted the light as close as the houses are, if it's shining that brightly in his window, are you able to adjust it enough that it's going to get out of his window?
I think if all he has is blinds, it's still going to show. It's still going to be bright. It's still a thing.
I think you could turn it all the way away from his house and put it in your backyard. I mean,
I don't know. It's really quite a conundrum, and I don't know the answer. But
to me, it's really simple.
Well, what about when my propane tank started getting stolen and we start getting criminal activity in my neighborhood?
Because you're shining
You're making
the light.
it sound like you've moved to
Is your propane going to be in his bedroom?
No, but I think just the brightness of a light period in that area is going to shine.
I'm not asking you to shine it in his bedroom. I'm asking you not to shine it in his bedroom. Like, you're just moving it from his bedroom.
What if you left the porch light on?
I've went through a different scenario. So ultimately, without talking to you guys, I agreed that I'm going to turn the light off.
But I don't even think you have to do that. I think that's going to very extreme. Like,
I think maybe once I have time to adjust, it's 20 feet in the air. It's not like it's super easy to adjust.
Yeah.
So it's going to take time.
If you could open a window and get to it?
I'm pretty sure I can't. So I'm going to look at different options. I've got his number. I'm going to text with him. We're going to work this out to where it's accommodating for everybody. But my initial response was just kind of like, man, I don't know that there's going to be an easy fix.
Would you have carried on with him? Would you have gotten back in touch with him if Terry had not said what she said, or would you have just left it alone?
No, and I didn't put that out there. At some point in time, I said, man, I'll look at adjusting it, but it's, 20 feet in the air. I can't do it today.
Which means normally when you say stuff like that, even to me, it means you're going to table it, which means it's never going to be happening. So I'm just wondering, like, if it would have never came up again, Terry wouldn't have, like, would you have just let it alone?
But then I reverse it. What if someone's light was in my window? Would I go talk to him, or would I just order some blackout blinds or curtains? Because I think I would just order blackout curtains and be done with it.
Let's go to the golden rule of the red letters. Jesus says, do unto others as you would have done unto you.
I would have bought blackout curtains and not said a word.
Would you?
I would have.
Really?
Would have.
Yeah. But because
Why?
my thought would be the exact opposite was, man, it's their light. If they want to shine it, they can.
It's his problem that.
But that just gives people a more clear understanding of really how you think, because that does make it a lot better. Yeah. That you're not bad. You're not a bad person because you didn't just say, "Oh my gosh, let me go get a ladder and change it right now." Let me.
That never crossed my mind.
Really, you are a person that just is very great at with people. There's a saying that says, "Live and let live." You don't get into other people's business.
Yes.
You don't judge people. You don't try to pry. So that is very good, and
I mean,
I feel better about it.
Yeah, if my neighbors had spotlights and they had disco lights and a stripper pole, I mean, that's their business. And I'm not going to intervene.
But the point is, too, is that for whatever the reason, he is the top person that confronted you about it. And had he walked away from you being offended or hurt, that you had never talked to him again and you just was going to let it be, like, that's where it's really, really important. And you say, well, that's my light and that was on my house and that's the way I bought it. But it is shining into his room and it is bothering him. And if you come across harshly to him and paint a bad picture of yourself in his life and in his eyes, how are we going to get back to being a disciple and making disciples and winning over souls and stuff?
I mean, you're absolutely right. But, a click of a button on Amazon, he could have had blackout curtains.
I love it.
This whole thing would be done.
I love it how it's very quickly, but.
But
But to solve the whole conundrum,
Yeah.
I'm going to turn the light off until we figure it out. But, the way I look at it is, all right, I turn it off for him. What about the neighbor in front of me? What if they can't sleep at night? So now I've got that light off. Now we're in pitch darkness. Now we're bringing in the evil. We're bringing in the criminal, the criminal activity. And now we're getting burglarized at night.
Yeah. I think it's real simple. You change the direction of the light. You don't turn the light off. You just take it out of his room.
Man, that could preach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it can, man. Because the enemy is the same way. He came, the enemy like a thief. He came to steal, to kill, and destroy.
Yeah.
And the enemy came in on you to test you in those situations. And everybody, every day at some point is tested in that way. And it's going to be up to you whether it's going to look like Jesus to that person, no matter how right you think you are or how right I think I am. At the end of the day, is he going to think you're Christ-like or is he not?
No, you're 100% right, but we have a right, and I pay to utilize my property, my house, and my stuff just the same way he does. I don't tell him what lights to turn on, what doors to close, what blinds to close, and that's the way I look at it. Is you enjoy your property in your house, and I'll enjoy mine. But at the time when you start trying to dictate how I enjoy mine, because it affects you, then we end up in this whole big back and forth of, now you own your property and part of mine.
But
you
I
own
mean-
your property and how I control mine.
But I mean, what if you're in your house and he's playing, or he's younger and he's playing music to the top of the, just beyond the whole, place, neighborhood. Like, what if you can't sleep? Like, what do you do about that? Do you just say, oh, this guy loves to play his music loud? And
I think if the HOA has something in place, which they don't for music,
You're
you're just stuck there. You move or you
stuck?
figure it out. Yeah.
really?
Steven's not a complainer.
What if
He's not
you're-
a door knocker.
No, I know. Well, what if you're on your front porch and you love to sit on your front porch and drink coffee, and just so happen every morning your neighbor's got his lights on bright, shining right on your front porch, and it's his driveway and that's his car, and it's just
I wouldn't say anything.
you just
He'd
don't
go to
go
the
out
back
on your
porch.
porch.
Yeah, I would just find another porch. I mean, I'm not just saying that. I believe that. I would just go on the back porch.
Maybe he needs to just switch bedrooms then, right?
You got more than one.
Yeah.
I think that was Jesus' whole point. If somebody asks of you, if somebody asks you to walk a mile, you also walk two.
But where do you draw the line? And this is as far as I'm going to take it. If he comes to me and says, you know what? I want to put a fence, but I need an extra foot of your property for my fence. Would you be okay with that?
If that hurts me, if that doesn't hurt me, no, I would be fine with that.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Dude, see, that's
What are you going to do with it? If you're going to use it, it'd be one thing. If you're not, who cares? That's giving. The whole beauty of being a human being is learning in a world of almost or more 7 billion people that it's not all about you. And you learn from a child, hey, sharing is caring. You learn to give a little bit. You learn, matter of fact,
dude,
you learn
you're talking to property, like real property,
you
man.
learn the art of compromise. Like, if it's a foot, if it's just a foot, like, is that too much to, I mean, is it? If you're using it, no. If you're not, then sure, man.
But if you give him a foot, then he'll come back next week and say, hey, you know
Nope.
what? I've been thinking about it. I really need 5 feet. Would that be okay?
That's where you draw the line.
That's where I'm trying to find. Where do you draw the line of just giving things away, just falling
It's always nice and kind to go above and beyond, to give a little more than take or not give at all. But so if you give, say, like you said, you give an inch, they take a mile. No, they don't take a mile. You're still in control and it's still your house. But if they ask to do this and that, that's in your way, or you're using that, or you can't do that, that's one thing. But can you do it? Are you able to do it? And it won't hurt you. Then fine.
So, I mean, and I get it. But at what point does it just become all right, now tonight I forgot to turn it off. So I'm laying in bed and he sends me a message. Hey, you forgot to turn your light off. All right, let me go turn my light off. So now we're in this whole thing like,
No.
it could easily turn into that though, right?
But then you go and have a talk in a very kind way.
Now that would bother me because then you're at their mercy.
But you go and
You
talk.
are anyways, I think.
But you kind of have
No.
to test those waters. You have to cross that bridge when it comes to it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you do. And then you don't look at it like in a big line of dreadful things that this can turn into. You cross it one step at a time, one day at a time, one bridge at a time. And don't worry. What you're doing is causing a big cluster of worries.
That might not even come to fruition.
Whoa, I can't be under this guy's power. Whoa, he can't be dictating me. He can't be ruling me. I can't get up in the middle of the night and turn that light off because I forgot. This is crazy.
You just set a baseline. So now next time there's another light bothering him or the dog's barking, he'll say, man, I could text Steven, but he was kind of rude the first time. Maybe we'll just let that ride tonight.
What if he says, I'll never talk to Steven again because he's a rude guy?
And he could. I wasn't rude.
That's your opinion. And it's very debatable.
Man, why did I bring this up here?
Yeah, because you're always thinking like, man, if I do this, then he's going to take this. And if I do that, you don't do
You're
that.
always waiting on the other shoe to drop.
Well,
Yeah.
because life lessons teach you that the other shoe is going to drop.
And that's how we were raised.
Life lessons is to be kind always and sacrificial and serving. And then when you get to a place that they won't allow you to serve, like Jesus said, I came here not to be served, but to serve. But also note, they killed Jesus. So I'm just saying, there is a time that you can draw the line and say, man, I really want to help you, but I can't help you there. I can't do that no more. I can't give you any more. But at first, the first impression is the most, is it not?
And you're 100% right. Even though we were building a church,
He may not like you for the rest of your time living beside him,
he seemed like a nice guy.
but you didn't.
No, I'm talking about afterwards. When I did tell him, hey, we're going to turn that light off. We're going to try to accommodate you.
But afterwards, well, he just seems like a sincere, all the time nice guy. That don't mean he's got a great impression of you.
But I do question somebody that would even bring that up and a little bit.
I don't at all. But you're not like that, so that's the difference. Because I really would go to somebody and say,
Would you really?
Yeah, I would.
A lot of people would. That would be the automatic. Why I don't need to. I'm going to try this avenue first.
See, that blows my mind. I never would have thought of that.
Even God said, "You have not because you ask not." Like,
Ooh.
there's nothing wrong with
But
asking.
I have a floodlight that I can't use because he asked.
But you turned it off.
But you can.
didn't have
You just got to.
You didn't have to
change it a
turn it
little.
off.
I
Yeah,
know, because I'm a nice guy.
you could have moved it. You're not a nice
I
guy.
still can move it. I'm a nice guy.
You're a very nice guy, but you were a nice guy in this situation.
Well, it just goes to show, and I hope we can use this as
Yeah,
a
we're
learning thing.
human,
Yes.
definitely.
I spent 7 hours at the church today, prepping, getting everything ready.
Come on.
We were literally doing the Just Jesus podcast, getting ready to, and I went and I was somewhat of a jerk to my neighbor.
Yeah.
I mean, all in the same day.
Yeah, it's
Because
great.
we all fail. And we all just
Exactly.
strive. Even though we're striving, we fail.
And I will say this, you really, this is really true. You can't please everybody. You really can't please everybody. And you'll find in life that you want to be so kind. And even Stephen's a very kind person and has came leaps and bounds. It's really amazing. Just like he said, 7 hours at the church. But but always first Christ like as much as absolutely possible. Sacrifice anything to show a person absolute kindness and light, not like a physical floodlight in their bedroom, but like the light of Jesus. And you will always come out on top like that. Now, there will be times that you can't please people because they'll keep asking for more. And we've talked about it before. There's batteries and there's vacuums, and there's people that will absolutely drain you dry. But always first impression, try to be overly kind. Go against everything that feels natural to you, to go above and beyond to accommodate a complete stranger. And if it goes downhill from there, if it goes negative from there because they simply just ask too much, the Bible says, be patient with all men. With all people, be patient and try your best to compromise and be Christ-like above all, and show Christ in every situation as much as humanly possible. Be blessed.